Hey guys, this is Dennis, the founder of Think Hero.
And I'm David Griffin, your resident comic book and video game guru.
And this is our review of Godzilla, the 2014 version, because there's been so many. There was a 1998 version by Roland Emmerich.
No.
Terrible movie. Other people were like, oh, you forgot to mention the 2000 version, but I think that was only in the Japanese release.
Yeah.
But anyways, so this is Gareth Edwards.
Yeah.
Pretty new director. Yep. He'd done one kind of indie, indie feature before, and so overall thoughts. I enjoyed it. I liked it. There are some problems with it in terms of like not seeing as much as you want to see.
Okay.
But overall, I enjoyed my experience. There's a lot of great visual effects.
Yep.
A lot of good action at the end. We're gonna give our overall thoughts. Positive, negatives, then grade, and then we'll give our spoilers at the end. So we won't talk about anything that's a total spoiler. I mean, but we can say this. Personally, I think the thing that people complained about the most was there wasn't enough Godzilla.
Yeah.
Like even just now, you watched it again. I watched kind of part of it. Right. I've seen it 2.5 times.
Right.
I heard the people just now coming out of the theater, I wish there was more fights. I wish there was more Godzilla.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts?
See, for all those reasons, that's why I loved it. But Gareth Edwards, he was following Spielberg and the whole Jaws kind of way of constructing. Now, granted, this is not going to be a classic like Jaws, but I like that he hid the monster for a while. You had to wonder, even though we know what Godzilla looks like, we've seen the trailers. I still like not seeing him for about 30 to 40, 40 minutes or so.
That's close to almost an hour.
Almost an hour. It was long. It was long. But I, for all those reasons that some people complained, I actually like that. For me, now granted, these are two different movies. I know you love Pacific Rim. I enjoyed Pacific Rim. I don't think I loved it as much as you did. I prefer this kind of movie more than Pacific Rim, more than seeing everything at once, even though it's a different kind of movie. I liked how he hid Godzilla for a while.
Yeah, there was some good suspense and there was some teasing. I think he just did it too much, because there were some great moments. Yeah. But then he just kept doing it over and over and over again.
Right, yeah.
And waited basically until the end to give us what we wanted, which was why I still like Pacific Rim better.
Okay.
There are things that are Godzilla does better. There's better story, better acting, all that stuff. But Pacific Rim kind of knew what it was.
It was just having fun.
And they just gave it to you.
Yeah, it was having fun.
And in Pacific Rim, you had like a bunch of fights in the beginning, in the middle. There was 2 fights in the middle, and the end. Right. This one, they kind of saved most of everything towards the end.
Yeah.
But it did deliver, though.
Oh yeah,
the ending's great.
Yeah, the ending, the action sequence. Godzilla had his moment to shine. It was. The special effects are great.
Yeah.
I mean,
so let's talk about the positives. The visual effects were great. I think the cinematography was really cool. There were some cool looking shots. Right. There have been complaints from other people like he's stole shots from Spielberg, stole shots from Ridley Scott and stuff like that.
It's not bad people to steal from if you're going to steal. I mean, Tarantino borrows from people from Scorsese that he admires.
Oh,
so, I mean, it's like borrowing. It's a form of flattery. I don't think he's being cheap or not being creative. I mean, it's good people to steal from.
Yeah, and I think he stole shots that are borrowed or homages for certain shots, but it wasn't like for like a whole scene wasn't like put together from someone else's. Right. So it wasn't like they he didn't duplicate another movie. He just, here's a cool shot that I'll use.
I also want to talk about, I love the sound. The sound, called sound engineering.
Sound mixing.
Yeah, I'll just say there's a scene near a train where, a railroad track where you hear these what they call them, the
mutos?
Mutos, yeah. It sounds like the vibrations and the reverb. However they created that was awesome. I love the sounds that all the monsters made. Godzilla's roar is awesome.
Yeah, the roar is really powerful.
It goes, it's so cool. I love that.
Yeah, and then we had Bryan Cranston's in it, Elizabeth Olsen, Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Kick ass. Yeah, kick ass. Yeah.
So,
and
Ken Watanabe.
Yeah. Godzilla. That's the other complaint some people had is that there's not enough Japanese people or Asian people. But I mean, Ken Watanabe was holding it down. I mean, he did a good job. I really like him.
He played the kind of he wasn't like a kooky scientist, but he did have.
He always had this wide-eyed look like.
And then he had he would drop the lines, let them fight.
Let them fight, yeah.
and stuff like. What are some other positive stuff that you liked about it?
I think, like you said, Bryan Cranston's performance. Actually, and then I like how they bounced around. I mean, it's not spoiling anything. We see different locales, because a little bit Hawaii, a little Japan, a little America, little San Francisco obviously is what you see in all the posters and everything. So I mean, movie moves a little bit. It has a little geography to it. And just the way they portray Godzilla, I like the way he looks. Some people...
the design of him is great.
It's great. Some people say he's a little fat, but he's supposed to be built like an offensive lineman. He's not lean and mean. He's a big dude. I mean, that's what Godzilla is. I love the design. All the creatures had just great designs. I mean,
the Mutos look great too.
Mutos look great. Yeah, I mean, I think it was pretty creative with everything, the way there's an opening, again, not spoiling, but just in the opening credits, they kind of show like this old footage, you know, from classified files, and the way they shot that was really creative and unique, and I thought it all added a great sense of atmosphere to the movie.
Well, that's what I think Gareth Edwards did the best, was the atmosphere and just kind of like the way he tied in to make the world was, obviously it's not a realistic movie, but he made it try to be as realistic as possible.
Right.
He tied in some news footage,
right? Yeah,
you know, and just the shots too, like a lot of wide shots that would show, you know, like let's say all these cars leaving the city, or just the monsters fighting in the background. He kind of gave like a point of view from the human side. There would be a lot of shots where he'd pan from like humans on the ground level and pan up to the monsters, or he'd pan down from the monsters to the people running or the people doing whatever. So it kind of gave you that scale of size for all the monsters.
And I liked how, you know, in the scenes when you would see some monsters, like there's some quick cuts, you know, you'd see a little bit and then he'd cut away. Like he never, again, some people complain about not seeing enough, but he really waited till the end to give you the full, you know, effect, to see everything in its grandeur. I mean, he really just kind of held everything back, which I liked.
Okay.
But I mean, the negatives, now going to the negatives, I like Aaron Taylor Johnson. I like him as Kick-Ass. Elizabeth Olsen, from what I've seen her in, you know, she's fine. Their story didn't really interest me.
No.
I thought Bryan Cranston was a lot better. Ken Watanabe I thought was underused.
Yeah.
He's great. He's an awesome actor. I want to see more of him. Decent cast. Just some of the stuff's kind of forgettable.
Well,
the story's a little forgettable,
also,
I think
a lot of people's complaints, and mine included, was that Bryan Cranston's storyline and him as an actor and character was more fascinating.
Oh,
we
yeah,
wanted to see more of him.
Yeah, right.
So in the spoilers, we'll talk a little more of that. But we wanted to see more of him. But this really is Aaron Taylor Johnson's. If there was a main character, it would be him.
Right, and he's fine. I mean, he's got, you know, he's seen the previews. He's got a wife. He's got a kid, and he's trying to get to him. I mean, it's just basic. There's nothing, you know. I mean, it's basic kind of disaster movie stuff, and he does a good job. But yeah, I just think he needed to do a little bit more. But I mean, besides all that, that's not why you go see Godzilla. Look at the old Godzilla movies: Godzilla versus Mecha Godzilla, Godzilla versus Space Godzilla. I mean, these movies are not, you know, deep, you know, things of, you know, theater and art. I mean, this is just supposed to be Godzilla, and I think Gareth Edwards took it to a level we haven't seen it done yet. Especially compared to you know, the last one, Matthew Broderick. Oh, man.
Yeah.
That was bad.
Yeah, and so my negatives, I mentioned in my overall thoughts. Yeah, I do appreciate the suspense, but I think it was overdone.
Right.
There was just a lot of times where they would just cut away from supposed action.
Right.
And sometimes it worked, you know, sometimes like there was a couple shots where they cut away from where I'm like, oh, okay, that was cool.
Right.
But then there was other ones where they just kept on just showing like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Like they're like about to fight.
Yeah.
They're gonna fight, but you don't get to see it.
Right. Yeah.
So I think that is something that a lot of people had issues with, and I have to agree with them, because it's not like I need like all this action. It's just that you can't just do the suspense thing all the way through. I think if they had maybe stopped it halfway, and then gotten more into like showing more Godzilla, I would have been fine. But they really took it all the way to the end.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
They took it to about like, the movie's about 2 hours long. They don't really get into it until about an hour and a half in.
Yeah, that's true. But I do. I mean, this is announced. This is news now. They are doing a sequel.
Yes.
It's been announced. I mean, this movie's made $93 million. It was projected at like, I think 63. The studios had.
Really?
I mean, yeah, they projected 63. That would have been good. It blew out of the water. Like, they're just shocked that this like did so well. So, It got greenlit, what, Sunday, I think, or something
yeah,
like that?
you
like
knew
right
they were
after.
working on that stuff like way before.
But like Pacific Rim had to fight a little bit. It's still
yeah.
fighting. It's not quite green. He has the script, I think, almost finished, but I don't think it's quite greenlit yet.
No, it's not, because they wanted to see how Godzilla would do. They want to see how Godzilla do. Not only for Pacific Rim 2, but now Godzilla 2, they're probably going to rush that into production first before they go to Pacific Rim. So they'll probably do Godzilla 2 and probably release it, and then do Pacific Rim 2.
Gotta get monsters back in the forefront of people's minds.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, because I think this is interesting. What I find this interesting is Godzilla domestically did better than Spider-Man. Domestically. I don't know about international. I don't know about international sales, but domestically did better, which always makes me wonder. You think... I mean, because the last Godzilla came out and didn't do that well. It bombed. You think this was because of a good trailer, because of good buzz, or you think nobody's getting burned out on superhero movies? They're making tons and tons of money, but you think people were ready for something fresh? Like, oh, Godzilla's not Spider-Man.
I think the marketing campaign was smart.
It's good marketing.
I think that's why, like, with the campaign of not showing too much Godzilla was cool.
Yeah.
For the movie, a little less so, but for that marketing, it was kind of cool, because then it's like the suspense. I want to see Godzilla. I want to see Godzilla. And the reason why it works is because it does deliver. The design of Godzilla looks cool. The action sequences, especially at the end, work. That's the thing that 1998 Godzilla did not do. The design did not look cool. He looked like a hybrid of a Jurassic Park dinosaur, and like just happened to have like spikes on him. They had like little babies, baby Godzillas that were just like the Velociraptor.
It was bad.
It was just silly.
Yeah.
This Godzilla is not silly.
No.
It's pretty serious, and that's where kind of a little of the problems I have, because they did want to take the serious route. So they want to have this story and have actors acting serious, and it didn't quite work for me. Where like, okay, Pacific Rim, we know, like, okay, it's just silly, right?
Yeah, it's supposed to be.
It's just supposed to be silly. It's silly. We can let whatever go. This one, the tone of it was, no, okay, we're gonna get realistic, and so I wanted a more compelling story. Whereas with Pacific Rim, I didn't need it, because that's not what they were going for.
True. I mean, Guillermo del Toro came out and said this is supposed to, ignite your inner 10 and 11-year-old. It's supposed to. But for some reason, this movie was more compelling for me. Not because, even from a fun factor, I had more fun watching this than I did Pacific Rim. Even though I do enjoy Pacific Rim, I just enjoyed this a little bit better. For some reason, because you even said when you saw it, like, you can say it now. You saw it, don't you guys see it before it came out at an advanced screening? And I think I texted you that night, and I said, well, what did you think of it? And you said some people will love it. Yeah. And I think I'm just one of those people. That I really actually love this movie a lot. I think I'm one of those people who love it.
I think with the suspense. I mean, it is a slow burn, and like I said, I do appreciate a lot of that aspect of it. It was just a little too much. Plus, they should have just focused more on Bryan Cranston. They should have just made him the main character and done that all the way through, versus, they want to get the young hero, the young action hero, with the wife and kids. It's like, no, we don't need
we're seeing too much of that. That's all right.
Exactly. So, let's give our overall thoughts and our grade. I'm going to give the movie a B.
Okay.
I do think it's kind of a must-see. If you're interested in
this type of
stuff,
big screen,
especially
3D, IMAX,
we saw it on AMC Prime, which was nice. Like, you want something with good sound and a large screen, just like when we did our review for Pacific Rim.
We saw IMAX 3D that day.
You want to see it large, because you're seeing something that's supposed to be big. This is not meant to be seen.
You don't go to like some local indie theater and see. You don't want to do that.
Not dissing indie theaters.
No, I love indie theater.
Just that this is the type of movie that you want to see on a big screen with great sound. And I thought visual effects were great. Action was great. Needed more of it. And besides that, the story, I think, needed work. There was like some plot stuff we'll talk about in the spoiler section that was a little off, that I think could have made it more compelling. But I have faith that the sequel is going to deliver and improve and fix a lot of the problems of this one.
Okay, I'm actually going to give it an A-.
Nice.
I really enjoyed it. Like I said, this hit my sweet spot for some reason. It's not perfect. There were definitely some flaws, but I'm excited for the sequel. I'm glad that they already greenlit it. It's going to happen. They're going to get a script going. I hope they see the flaws, hear the fans. The fans are loud with this. It's making good money, but the fans are speaking. So hopefully they'll, change some things. We'll probably see, I'm sure, a lot more monsters. They're not gonna. I don't think they'd hide Godzilla as much in the second one.
No, that's why
he's been revealed.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
we're gonna see more of him. So yeah, definitely A-, and yeah, go see it in IMAX 3D for sure.
All right, so let's get into our spoiler section. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, you can turn this off and come back after you've seen it. So yeah, one of the main issues is that Bryan Cranston, he dies in the very beginning.
Yeah.
I thought, okay, I had heard that he wasn't going to be a main character, fine. I thought that they were going to take his character at least through the whole journey, that we were going to see him sprinkled in throughout, like helping out the military, helping out Ken Watanabe, helping out his son, Aaron Taylor, whoever is, I forgot the name of Aaron Taylor. Ford. Helping, and also, maybe try and develop more of that relationship as well. Nah. He dies in like 20 minutes.
That was the point. Even his wife, I forgot her name. She's been around. I mean, she's good.
Juliette Binoche.
Yeah, she's a good actress. I wanted to see. I was like, oh, I kind of like them. It was too bad they just kind of went out. And Aaron Taylor Johnson, he's not as compelling as Bryan Cranston, but I don't think that's his fault. 'Cause I actually like him in the Kick-Ass movies. I think his dialogue, his script that he was given just didn't have anything interesting to do. He was just kind of this army guy who happened to be in the right place, like, oh, hey, I can disarm that bomb.
Yes.
Hey, I'm here. Oh,
exactly.
I'm the only survivor. I can do that.
I was laughing at those scenes.
These monsters happen to be going to my hometown where my wife and kid are. Perfect. It's just everything was perfect.
Can I hop on board?
Yeah, can I get a ride? Is that cool? Okay, yeah, is that cool? You guys don't know
I'm
me.
military.
I know these guys like Jack is like, I'm military. Oh, of course. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on, we're all going mainland. It's like, really?
So those things kind of bothered me. I wanted, I think it was a mistake to make him the main character. Or at least have Bryan Cranston more heavily involved so that they could have that father-son dynamic.
We talk about, this is a stupid, silly thing. We talk about worst school bus driver ever. The scene on the bridge, every time that bus driver's floor it and just honking, hitting people. I mean, and that's the thing. How did Aaron Taylor Johnson reunite with his son? I don't know where they, Candlestick Park. I don't know where they were somewhere. It's like,
it was probably.
It's like he's just with his kid all of a sudden. I'm like, oh, that works out.
Pac-Bell Park, Oakland
Coliseum.
Yeah.
Oh, they're in Oakland. That's right. They were in Oakland. That's
Could
right.
be any one of those things.
I mean, there were some. I guess you have to kind of suspend, your belief a little bit. It's just. This is a movie. It's a fantastic movie. So weird stuff's gonna happen. But again, like I said, I love this movie, so it didn't really distract me. It kind of just made me chuckle while I was watching the movie. Ken Watanabe. Again, underused. I mean, he was kind of the quirky scientist discovering all this stuff and just look at the charts like this happened 15 years ago. But I just wanted to see him do more because I know he's capable of so much more.
And so speaking of we talked about earlier, the cutting away. So there were two incidences where I thought the cutting away was cool. Which one was when Godzilla was about to fight the male Muto in Hawaii, and then they cut to the TV.
Yeah.
And the kid was. I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny.
Because dinosaurs, mommy. Yeah, that was good.
And then the other time was when Elizabeth Olsen was running into the BART station, and you see the doors close.
Which is different from the trailer. Has different scenes in it. So the trailer, one of those scenes was that one where you had that long scream during the trailer. You see Godzilla just roaring, facing the door, and it shuts. Another scene, which is one we can talk about now, which is in the trailer I love, is the Halo jump. When they're jumping in. That's a cool cutaway. But it's kind of a cutaway because when Aaron Taylor's dropping, you can see the monsters fighting a little bit, and he kind of goes, down past Godzilla's face. And I thought that was a cool
that one makes more sense. I really did like that Halo jump. That would look really cool.
Using the music from 2001 Space Odyssey.
The sound is cool. Yeah. But then you had other stuff that was more where you would see them fighting in the background, and then they would just kind of move back to the humans, or they'd be they'd have pan up and you'd see Godzilla about to fight. There's one scene at the end where he grabs the neck of I think the male Muto or the female Muto and rams him to the building. You're like, oh, it's gonna get started, and then they cut
away.
They pan down or cut away to the humans. You know, it's I don't really care about the human storyline.
But I did like how they would shroud Godzilla. So in the rain, and then at night, I think this is the first time Godzilla kind of fell over, was just tired, needed to take a break. I like when Aaron Taylor Johnson, Ford, and him make contact. They look at each other in the eyes, and like this kind of the smoke just
yeah,
kind of
that
surround.
was cool.
That was cool. I also liked when Godzilla's tail lit up for the first time.
For the
like
atomic.
I was like,
yeah.
Like both. I've seen it twice now. And every time people clap.
Exactly.
As soon as that, because in the trailers you don't see that. At least
Well,
as far as I know,
they don't want to give that away.
Yeah, and like as soon as his tail lights up, it's like, yes, he's gonna breathe, you know. And I thought that was. I love the sound effects. Almost sounded like a jet engine when he was doing the fire. It's not fire, but.
And of course, we had to talk about the last shot of the fight when he
great.
opens up the female Muto's
I was
mouth
scared at first. Were you? Because remember King Kong, Peter
Yeah.
Jackson, King Kong had that badass fight scene where he beats the T-Rex. He just like opens his,
yeah.
rips his. But I was like, and then when he did the fire, you know, breathe into him, I was like, okay, that's different. That's better.
Yeah, at first he was gonna. You thought they were gonna rip off.
I was like, don't do that again. Yeah.
And then he breathes the fire
Right.
down. That was awesome.
That was
then
cool.
that he was carrying the head.
Right. Yeah.
And then gave
That
out
was cool.
the Godzilla roar. That was
Yeah.
badass.
That was
So
cool.
you know, like all those fight sequences, you know, with the tail smacking the winged male version into the building. You know, the building topples over and falls down on him. So yeah, I just wish there was more of that, and I think in the sequel they're gonna deliver on that.
I think so too. Yeah.
Because they're
more
not gonna have to be
monsters.
like, they're not gonna have to do the suspense mystery of Godzilla anymore. They're like, we know what Godzilla is, we know what he looks like, we know what he can do. Now he's just gonna fight.
Yeah, he's gonna have. I'm sure there'll be different types of monsters too. I'm sure.
Well, I know that they're trying to negotiate to get the Mothras and the Rodans, because right now they don't have the licenses for that, and that's why they created the Mutos.
Right. Yeah, they had to make something up. Yeah. So I'm excited for the sequel. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let us know what you thought. You can post your comments below on the website thinkhero.com or on our YouTube channel Think Hero Pro, and make sure to subscribe to that.
You also can find us on Twitter. Dennis and myself are both at Think Hero. I'm at GriffinDE.
And we also have a Facebook page. That's facebook.com/ThinkHeroFans. Make sure you like that page and share our videos on Twitter and Facebook and all other social media.